Hey guys, how's it going? I am so excited to be here and to be talking about iOS 11. This is a fantastic release for iOS users everywhere, but especially for iPad users. I am so excited about this. It's going to do so much for so many people. When Tim Cook took the stage, he mentioned that it was going to be the biggest release for the iPad ever, and honestly, I got a little nervous. I thought that might have just been a marketing speech, but I was wrong, and I'm very happy I was wrong. It really is a huge release. This is going to unlock so much, not just for myself, but for you guys as well. So I want to hear in the comments or on Twitter or wherever what you guys are excited about in iOS 11, what it's going to do for you, or what it's going to not do for you. If there's something in iOS 11 that's going to hurt you in the long run, I'd really like to know. So anyways, I'm not going to have enough time to cover everything. There's so much in here, and honestly, some of the smaller stuff's going to fall by the side. I am going to do more videos, so if you think I left something out, just stay tuned. I have way more coming, I promise. So this is going to be kind of a long video, so grab some popcorn, buckle up, and let's jump into it. So this is iOS 11, guys. I am so excited about it. Now, we didn't get the big sweeping changes to the home screen I was hoping for, but we did get one major change, and that is the dock. The dock is really cool. I'm really excited about this. So we kind of had a dock in previous versions of iOS, but it didn't really do the same thing this dock does. So instead of just talking about it, let's take a look. So I'm going to open up Notability here. And before, if we wanted to go back into another application, we'd have to go back to the home screen and then hit that app. But now we could swipe up from the bottom and hit another app. You can also, for keyboard users, you can hit Command-Option-D and it'll bring up the app, and you can the dock, and you can switch between your apps. So that's pretty cool. I really like that, and it's a fantastic way of getting back and forth between applications. The dock also plays a big part in multitasking, which is something we're going to get to a little later. But I think for right now, this is a fantastic bundle in addition to the home screen and the way you can kind of just move in between applications in iOS. So I'm really excited about the dock. You can kind of see in the bottom right hand corner there's a split, and there's 3 apps on the right side. That is the predictive area. So this is things like apps you've used recently, apps you use like Siri suggestions, so it knows at a certain kind of time of day if you use an app at a certain time, it'll suggest that. It'll even suggest handoff applications down there as well. So this is a really cool, handy feature. I personally really like it. I've seen some people talk about that, how they don't like it. It's a little weird that it's constantly moving. You can turn it off in settings, but if you turn it off, you don't get more space. On the big iPad Pro, you get up to 15 applications on the dock. On the smaller iPads, you get 13 applications. So if you turn off the predictive area, you don't get space for more applications. It is what it is. So personally, I don't see an upside to turning it off. I just leave it on. It's come in handy a few times. So that's the dock. I really like it. I'm very excited. Every time it took a little while for me to remember that it was there and that I could swipe up from the bottom and get to it. But once I got that down, I was moving through applications, I think, quite a bit quicker. So next up, and this kind of seems to be something that has an ongoing theme of getting changed in every version of iOS, and that is Notification Center, which is no longer called Notification Center. It's called Cover Sheet now. And I'm not a big fan of it. It looks like the lock screen. You have your date, your time, your notifications. It even says press home to open at the bottom. And personally, I think this is going to confuse a lot of users in thinking that their device is locked. Hopefully I'm wrong, but I think for security reasons, your device, it's not locked. I can still swipe up and get right back to my iPad. I'm not using Touch ID or passcode or anything. You're just swiping up and down. So I think this could potentially lead to a lot of problems. You can still clear notifications and reply to them and all this same stuff that you normally did, but it just looks like the lock screen now. So that's going to be a little confusing for some users, I think. The other thing is, if you don't use a keyboard with your iPad, how you got to Spotlight Search while you're within an app is you swipe down and you could just start typing right in the Spotlight Search. Now, in order to get to Spotlight Search, you have to swipe down and swipe over to the widget view. So you have Spotlight Search at the top, which is fine. It's one more step, so if you don't use a keyboard now, you just have to remember you have to swipe down and swipe over, because unlike in iOS 10, the widget and notification center, it doesn't remember which the last one that you were on. So like in iOS 10, if I was last on widget view and I swiped up and then swiped back down, it would remember that I was in widget view, so it would automatically go back to widget view, which was handy for me personally because I don't use a lot of notifications on my iPad. So I mostly use the widget view when I was swiping down. So that's kind of a bummer too. The other thing is the widget view is a single column now. There's no left and right column anymore. It's just one column, and in order to scroll through it, you have to scroll on the widgets. You can't scroll on the left or the right side, and like what just happened right there, I've been getting a lot of missed taps. I've been tapping on things the wrong way. So, you can't scroll on the left or the right side, and you have to scroll on the widgets, which for me personally, and I just did it again, there you go, has been leading to a lot of missed taps. It's caused quite a bit of problems for me. It's gotten to the point where I just don't even use the widget view anymore. Personally, it just causes more problems than what it's worth. So I'm a little disappointed with the way the cover sheet is set up now. Hopefully this gets reworked in one of the minor updates pretty quickly, but I'm not a big fan of this part. So let's take a look at something I'm very, 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 did I mention very excited for? And that's drag and drop. Drag and drop is finally on the iPad, and it is great. I am so excited for it. You can you can drag things like files, URLs, images, videos, text. Honestly, I keep finding things I don't expect would work, and it's awesome. It's fantastic. So let's jump into it, and I'll show you guys what it does. So to drag and drop something, you just long press on the item. It starts to hover, and you can move it around, and then you just move it right over to the next app. You get that green plus, which means you can release, and it'll add it right to the note in this case. If you want to drag multiple things, you can start a drag, tap on something, and then you can even add different kinds of media. So we have photos here, but if I tap this video, it adds a video. So we have 4 items we can move over. It says that it'll be able to add 4. It'll take just a second, and it adds it right there. This is so cool. This is so fantastic the way they did this. I'm so excited about this. But you can do so much more with drag and drop too, and it all depends on where you are in the application. So let's go to Safari really quick. I have this highlighted text right here. I'm going to long press on it and start to move it around. Go back to notes, and I'm just going to drop it in here. And it just adds it right in there. So this is really cool. You can drag and drop it. You text from just anywhere. If you can select it, you can drag it. Let's go back to Safari, and we can start dragging this URL here. We're going to put it down here at the bottom. So it added that URL with a rich text preview like it should in Notes. I'm going to drag that again and go back to Safari. And what's really cool here is if we were to drop it right here, it creates a bookmark. But if we go back to Safari, or Notes, I'm sorry, and start to drag again, and instead of dropping it right here, we drop it up here in the URL box, it loads the URL and automatically opens it. This is really cool. This is a fantastic way of doing things. I'm so excited about this. So this is drag and drop. I think there's a lot you can do with it. There is one other thing. So we were looking at drag and drop in between multiple applications, but you can do drag and drop within the same app. So I'm going to open up Files here, and Files is new to iOS 11, and we're going to take a look at it a lot more in a bit. But I just want to show you guys one thing. I'm going to start a drag with this this guy right here, and instead of moving it to another application, I'm going to move it to this folder. It moved that file. So instead of copying that file, so if when we drag stuff from photos to notes, it did a copy. It didn't move those files. Even though they're on our iPad, they didn't move the files. It copied them. So in between applications, it does a copy and a paste. Within the same app, it does a cut and a paste. So it actually physically moves the item. So you can come in here and you can see it's down here. So this is really cool. I like that they implemented that. I think it's really going to help cut down on causing duplicate items of stuff. So I think this is a great way to do that. The one thing that I want to point out is apps and app developers will have to be updated to support the drag and drop APIs. So this means some of your favorite apps probably won't support drag and drop on day one. So be a little patient with the developers, give them some time, and hopefully they all get them updated pretty quickly. One last really cool feature is you can use multi-finger drag and drop. So you can start a drag, and I use my other fingers to start the drops. So don't forget, you can use more than one finger. I know that was something I kept getting hung up on when I first started using iOS 11. Is I just couldn't. I kept trying to use just one finger, but you got to use all your hands. You can move between different applications and stuff like that. What's really cool is if you long press on icons now, you get this recents view. So we can start dragging this guy right here. And we're on the home screen, so we can't drop it here. It's not going to do us any good if we drop it here, but we'll open up notes and we'll drop it in there. And this is just, it's awesome. I love the way this works. And like I said, it made copies of these. So we're not, in the way it makes copies, it uses what's called the new file system, the APFS. It doesn't create another copy, so I didn't create two versions of it. Those versions are linked, so it's not taking up more space until you make edits to those files. So if you guys are interested in APFS and how this really works, let me know in the comments below, and I'll cover that. But for right now, this is kind of, I'm gonna leave it at that. Just know it's not taking up extra space until you start making edits to that file. So that's drag and drop. I'm really excited about it. Just keep in mind your favorite apps, they're going to have to be updated in order to support it. In iOS 11, multitasking got a big overhaul. It's been fundamentally reworked from the ground up. It's now all based on drag and drop, and you don't have that really terrible app picker anymore. So let's take a look at it. I'm going to open up Ulysses here. And this is just a document I worked on a long time ago. And I'm going to bring up the dock now. So I'm going to Command Option D for those that have a keyboard. I'm going to grab Ulysses. So I'm going to start a drag, and you get this card here. And before in iOS 10, you always had to bring up the multitasking app on the right hand side, but now you can bring it up on the left side. So that's pretty cool. And the left app is also a 1/4 view now. So I think this is pretty handy. Visually, when the apps are in split view, there's no major change other than the fact that the left app can be a 1/4 view now. But you can grab the gray bar here and resize, and just like before. But you don't have to just use the dock. Me personally, I keep the apps that I find that are best for multitasking in the dock because I think it's the quickest, but you can also do spotlight search. So I'm going to do a spotlight search for, and I already have it for Overcast right here. So I'm going to grab Overcast and drop it right over Ulysses. And so now I have Overcast and Notes paired together. So this is pretty cool, but you can also do more. You can also drag from the home screen, and you have to do this kind of quickly because it will, once you start dragging an icon, you have a timer. And if you go longer than that timer, it will just start the jiggle so you can start deleting apps. But I'm going to grab YouTube here, and then I'm going to open an Overcast, and I'm going to drop right over Notes. So there you go. So you have YouTube, so you can drag and drop and create split views from the dock, the home screen, and Spotlight. So you can pretty much get to all your apps from anywhere. I can understand, for me personally, when I was first in the beta, I kept all of my apps in the dock. So I had 14 apps in the dock, and then one folder that had all the other applications in it. And then it worked okay, but honestly, if you're going to do this, I think the best way to do it is to keep the 15 apps that you use in multitasking a lot in the dock, and then use Spotlight search for the others. So that's just my personal philosophy. Everybody's going to be a little different about how they set up theirs, but personally, that's how I think it works best for me. So believe it or not, there's still some really cool stuff you can do with multitasking. I'm going to go ahead and bring back up Ulysses, and we have Ulysses and Notes together. I'm going to bring up the dock again, and I'm going to grab the music app. And instead of putting it over one of the applications, I'm going to drop it right here in the center between the two apps. And this brings up slide over now, which is pretty cool. So you can come in here, make quick changes to music, Twitter, messages, whatever you really wanted to do. It's just a quick temporary app. on the new iPads, you can actually work with the applications behind this one as well. So that's kind of cool. So you could have the split view, the slide over app up and still be working with the split view apps. There's this gray bar at the top, and if you pull down on it, it'll actually replace the app that it's hovering over. So that one just replaced Notes. And then if I can pull down again, and it actually makes Ulysses go into full screen, and this becomes the slide over. You can get rid of it by just swiping away. So multitasking apps now work in pairs. And what does that mean? So now that these two apps are in split view, they're always going to be paired together. So if I close this and I open up Notes, those are paired together. If I close that again and I open up Ulysses, they're still paired together. Until I come in here and physically kill that split view, the apps are paired. So the apps work in pairs while in split view, no matter how many times you open and close them. Unless you go in and you physically force quit the apps, they will always be paired together. I personally find this very handy. There's apps like Fantastical and Todoist, Notability and Fairite, Overcast and Twitter, or Messages and Twitter, or whatever. There's stuff that I like that are paired together, and I like having those apps paired, and just when I open one, it opens the other with it. So I think this is a fantastic way of doing multitasking. It remembers those pairs. You can go in and quit them. It's not terrible to have to go in and quit them. And then if you want to replace an app that's in the pair, you just drop another app right on top of it. So that's pretty cool. So overall, I'm very happy with multitasking. I'm very excited about where it's gone from iOS 9 days to where it is now. It's a fantastic progress. I like that it's built around drag and drop. It just makes sense to make drag and drop the everything on the iPad now. So I like it. This is pretty fantastic. With iOS 11, we're getting a Files application. It's not so much like Finder, but more for cloud services, and I'm really excited about it. I have said before in the past that I didn't think we actually needed a file management application on the iPad, but I was wrong, and I'm happy to admit I was wrong. So this is actually kind of cool. So let's take a look at it. We're going to open up Files here, and this is pretty much it. The nice thing about Files is Apple on stage announced that third-party support will be available for the Files app. So apps like Dropbox, Google Drive, Box, Transmit, things like that will actually be able to hook in to Files. So on the left side right here, you'll actually see I have Dropbox and Transmit on there. This is just the legacy stuff, so we're gonna go ahead and just ignore this for this video. But on the left side, you have the location. So right now, the only thing that fully supports Files is iCloud Drive. You can kind of see what I have in here. I made a documents folder for it to dump everything in because I've been using it over the summer. And it's been really a fantastic experience. I really been enjoying it. On the side, you also have On My iPad. This is just for third-party apps, for local storage for them. You unfortunately can't write anything to that. I wish you could. It'd be a fantastic place for documents or temporary files. There's also access to recently deleted. There's your favorites, so you can drop folders in here so you can get quick access to places. Tags. This is fantastic. I'm absolutely very excited about this. Moving through, at the top here, there's a search bar, so you can actually search for files if you want to if you're looking for something in particular. So we could type in site and see everything that comes up with the word site in it. So that's pretty cool. You can also pull down here and you get the option to create a folder. So we can create a test folder. You can sort by name, date, size, tag. You can put it from list view to grid view. Really, it's just the typical file management stuff. So that's all pretty great. I'm really liking this. There's a recents view down here, so you can come down here and look at all the files you've recently added. It sorts by tags. And speaking of tags, so we have this file right here. I'm going to grab this guy right here. This is the default markup utility now in iOS 11. So anything that can be printed can be marked up. So you can mark up stuff outside of Files by going into the share sheet. There's a markup. You can hit that, and you can hit this button right here, and you can draw on this and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. You can also, going back into that, you can hit the share sheet button right here, and there's a new area, and this works for outside of Files too. Anytime you're saving a file, it gives you this option. So you have this tag spot up here. So we're gonna tap on that. and you can assign tags to it. You can create new tags. You can create tags with colors. You can do without colors, however you want to do it. So we'll create a test tag right now, put it yellow, and create that tag. So you can assign multiple tags to files, which is a pretty handy tool. So I'm really liking this. I haven't played with tags too much, even on Mac, mostly because they didn't sync over to iOS and it didn't do anything for me there. So I'm excited to kind of start exploring tags and see what they can do with them. I'll probably be doing a video on how I use tags and how I kind of think tags work optimally in the future. So keep an eye out for that. So all this is really great. The app syncs with iCloud, so things like tags and your favorites and your locations and stuff like that, that all syncs to your iPhone, or if you have another iPad or stuff like that, it'll sync over. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about that. In iOS 11, Control Center also got a major update. So we can swipe up from the bottom, and you have to make a big swipe. And we now have Control Center, but the app picker is also in here as well, which is kind of cool. So you can scroll through your apps. It shows the pairs that we talked about earlier, so you can see Messages and Tweetbot are currently paired together. I like this. I like this app picker. I think it's fine. I don't use it for too much other than maybe switching back in between apps that I recently used when I don't have a keyboard attached. Most of the time I just use the Command Tab keyboard shortcut, but this is fine. This is great for people that are going to use it. I think they'll really like it. On the right side, though, we have Control Center, and it's all these modular buttons now, which is kind of nice because Control Center is now customizable, which is fantastic. I'm super excited about that. It's only customizable for first-party apps, so Apple stuff is the only one that you can customize. This is typically the way they do things. They support it themselves for a year, make sure it works right, see if it catches on, and then they'll open up support for third parties. So what you can kind of do, you can kind of see here, you can turn off Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, play music, brightness, volume, the typical stuff. But what's also really cool is you have these other buttons in here now. So the blinking red one is actually the screen recording that I'm using right now. Apple TV, you can long press on it and control the Apple TV if you have one in your house. You can long press on the HomeKit button and control the lights, so that's really cool. Then you can, there's timers in here, there's do not disturb, lock screen. What's really cool about this is they all have really nice animations, so I really like this. I really like the way this is laid out. If you want to customize them, if you want to get customizable ones, you come in here to settings, go to Control Center, customize controls, and here are the buttons. So these are the ones that I've chosen. These are the ones that I've chosen to leave out. You know, everybody's going to have their own preferences. Personally, these are the ones that have worked best for me. The iPhone has a few more on there, but, you know, that's for another video. So, I like this. I like the Control Center. I like the way it's customizable, the way it works. It works together with App Picker and things like that. So, I like it. So far, really good. I like it. Moving on, we have the screenshot editor, and this is new. I'm really liking this. So to take a screenshot, for most people know, you hit the home button and the lock button at the same time. But if you have a keyboard attached now, you can hit Command-Shift-3, and it'll take a screenshot. And now the screenshots go in the bottom left corner here. So this comes up, and you can use your Apple Pencil or your finger, however, and you can mark it up with all these tools down here. So you can draw on here with different colors. There's highlighters, there's pencils, erasers, so much. It's really cool. You can even hit this plus button right here. You can add text if you want. You can add a signature. So if you hit that, Apple will ask you to sign something, and then you insert your signature into things. You can magnify their shapes. So cool. But once you're done, what you can do is you can hit the share sheet button and send it someplace. So you can tweet it, send it in messages. You can even, what's really cool, new, is you can hit save to files. So this will work with the files application. And once third-party apps update for it, you can save to those. But right now you can do iCloud Drive. You can put in, you can save it anywhere you want. So I'll add it to the temp file, and then we'll replace the existing. That's fine. But when you hit done, what's fantastic is it'll ask you if you want to save it to photos or delete the screenshot. And as somebody that takes a lot of screenshots, my photos album is full of them, and I have to spend a ton of time just going through and deleting them. So I can just hit delete screenshot, and it takes it away. Another handy thing is I mentioned you can hit Command-Shift-3 to take a screenshot. If you hit Command-Shift-4, it opens straight into the screenshot editor. So that's pretty nice as well. I really like this utility. I think it works out very well, and I think it's going to do a lot of good for people that have to take a lot of screenshots. And iOS 11 Notes got a major update as well, and I'm really excited about this one. You guys know I love my Apple Pencil. So in Notes, you can actually just start drawing with the Apple Pencil anywhere now. You can use any of the tools, so you can come down here and use any of the markup tools that you normally would use, and just start writing. So before you had to create an image, and you had to go into that image, and then you could start drawing. But now it works in line with just text. So now I can just come down here and I can just start typing anything. So this is a really cool, handy way of being able to like take handwritten notes alongside text notes. It all works together. It all just kind of blends naturally, and I'm very excited about this. So it uses the same markup tools. So you have the pen, the highlighter, the pencil, colors, all that stuff down there. That's really cool, really exciting. There's also this plus button now. So you can add photos from your library. You can take a photo, add a sketch if you really do want to just make a separate image in there. But there's also an option in here to do scan documents. So you can select that. It uses ARKit, which is new for iOS 11 also, and you can have a piece of paper down on the table and you can scan the document, and you don't even have to be straight on it. You can scan the document, it finds the corners, it takes it, and it puts it right in the note. So that's pretty handy, and that's pretty cool. For some reason, it only lets you put 24 pages in there, so only 24 scans in a note. So if you have something that's bigger than that, you might want to look at like Scanner Pro or some other app like that to take care of that. So, but overall, these are some pretty great updates to Notes. But there's one more. On the lock screen, when the device is locked, you just wake it up without hitting Touch ID or any of your passcode. You take the Apple Pencil and you just tap the display, and it opens up a new note. And what that new note is you can just start writing on it. This is a fantastic feature. It's great for quick notes. When you do that, it doesn't give you access to your other notes, so there's no security concern about that unless you're writing something very sensitive down on that note. Because what'll happen is, and we'll go into settings here and I'll show you guys. So we'll go to settings, notes, and what this is it's access notes from lock screen. So here's what you can kind of do with this. So when you take the Apple Pencil and you tap the note, you can either tell it to not do anything at all, always create a new note, resume the last note created on lock screen, or resume last note viewed in Notes app. So these are kind of really important to keep in mind how you're doing this, and how you have this set up is, you know, the more you go to the right, the more security concern it'll be. So for me personally, when I found fine, resume note last created on lock screen, and then I have it only create a new note daily. So that means anytime within one day I take my Apple Pencil and tap the screen, it will resume that note. Once it's the next day and I do that, it will create a new note. So security wise, that's great, but feature wise, this is a fantastic feature. It's been handy to just be in meetings, take my Apple Pencil, tap the screen, and just start jotting notes down. I'm really, really excited about this feature. The Apple Pencil improvements, it seems like the stuff that they've just given you the ability to do with the Apple Pencil and iOS 11 have just been fantastic, and I'm super excited about it. So to wrap up, iOS 11 is a huge step forward. There's so many things left I wasn't able to cover in time, and I will be doing more videos. But I think things like drag and drop, Apple Pencil improvements, files, it's really going to lead to a lot of great stuff that can be done on the iPad. And I really want to hear from you guys what you guys are excited about and what's going to work for you. I'm going to be doing, like I said, I'm going to do some more videos on iOS 11. I've got some apps that I've been on the test flight for that have been specifically made for iOS 11 that I'm going to be doing videos about. So I'm really excited about the future. And you know, I just want to quickly touch on, I think iOS 12, or with iOS 12, and I know it kind of seems early to start talking about it, but with iOS 12, I think Apple is going hopefully double down on iPad features and automation. They bought workflow earlier this year, so I think with iOS 12 we're going to see why they did that. So we're going to see a lot of cool stuff over the next year or so coming for the iPad, and I'm very, very excited about it. I'm happy with what we got. Thank you all for watching this incredibly long video. Thank you so much. If you guys like what I'm doing here, please like and subscribe. It does help out. Thanks guys. Have a great day.